Magic as an art form will never fail, never cease to fascinate and enthrall. No matter how technologically advanced our species becomes, and no matter how much our brains might evolve, magic will never lose its allure to the human imagination. Although magic's precise origins are lost to the mists of time, it has existed for thousands of years. And as a form of both popular entertainment and sacred ritual, it is rivaled only by storytelling and dance in its antiquity. The earliest magicians were the shamans, or medicine men, whose function in their communities was to mediate the relationship between the invisible tribal deities, and the members of their communities. Now, in order to make their contact with these invisible deities seem more credible to their audiences as well as to their benefactors, certain manifestations were eventually expected. Because the spirits were so often and inconveniently silent, the shamans were forced to use the purely terrestrial means at their disposal to create the illusion that the gods were indeed responding to the supplications of mortals. Fraudulent displays of this sort persist even to this very day, with religious and spiritual leaders using sleight of hand and other forms of trickery to try to convince their followers that they have witnessed genuine signs and wonders from beyond the terrestrial realm, earthly manifestations of supernatural power. The earliest known artistic representations of a magic performance was made by an unknown artist in approximately 2500 BCE and appears on the wall of a burial chamber in Beni Hassan, Egypt. The drawing depicts a performance of what is unarguably the oldest and most venerated magic routine in all of history, the cups and balls. The history of the cups and balls, a few giggles of familiarity there, very nice. Maybe it was because I said balls. All right. The cups and balls. The history of the cups and balls, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, now I've got your attention. The history of the cups and balls, ladies and gentlemen, could fill an entire lecture in itself, but it is worth making the point that the cups and balls has been performed for centuries by magicians all over the world and is widely regarded as the standard by which a magician's skill may be measured. And incidentally, if you wish to view the aforementioned drawing that was scribbled on the wall of the burial chamber in Beni Hassan, Egypt, I suggest that you bring scuba gear. The entire area was intentionally flooded in 1966 as a part of the Nile Reclamation Project. Now, as popular entertainment, magic has been performed on the streets and at fairs and marketplaces for many hundreds of years, and magicians have been called upon to give private performances for nobility and members of the ruling class since at least the time of ancient Egypt. But it wasn't until the late 18th and early 19th centuries that magic entered the theater and became a respectful art form among the well-heeled and high-born. The watershed moment occurred in 1845 when the French magician and clockmaker Jean-Eugène Robert Houdin opened a magic theater in Paris. Houdin's elegant style of dress, a tuxedo with tails, is associated to this very day with the iconic image of the stage magician. And ever since that time, the mid-19th century, magic has been performed in theaters large and small around the world, and sometimes libraries. Now, although this is not a lecture about the history of magic, but about the perennial appeal of magic, I do feel that it's necessary to establish from the outset that magic has a long and distinguished record as a cultural touchstone in societies throughout human history, which to my mind is an excellent indication of its abiding appeal, at least up to this point in our history. But I think the truly interesting question is not whether or not magic is perennially appealing, but why it is so. Yes? And I think that magic's eternal appeal can be attributed to at least three things. Number one, mystery, or the appeal of the unknown. Number two, the childlike sense of wonder that magic can inspire in those who experience it. And 3, the pure joy that is derived from watching someone such as a master magician who excels at his or her craft. First, and most importantly, I think, mystery. Now, human beings have an unquenchable desire for mystery. As much as we strive to acquire knowledge about the world around us and the cosmos beyond us, we also have an abiding need for the mysterious and the unknown. Magic, when presented properly, has a way of satisfying that need by confronting us with something for which there is no apparent, or at least no ready or easy explanation. That's why the number one rule of any good magician is that you never reveal the secret. Because once an audience knows the secret, the mystery is gone. And a magic show, or even a magic trick without mystery, is an exercise in futility for magician and audience alike. Secondly, magic is perennially appealing because the childlike sense of wonder that it can inspire in those who witness and experience it. For most of us, our first experience or exposure to magic is in the years of childhood. And the association of magic with childhood is almost never sundered. But even for those of us, like myself, who first experienced magic when we were adults, it can still engender that sense of childlike wonder, because there is so much about the world that children simply do not know and simply do not understand. Right? And the experience of magic is all about not understanding what the magician did or how he or she did it, which is a very childlike frame of mind. Now, I distinguish mystery from wonder because something can be a mystery without inspiring wonder. For example, it's a mystery to me why anyone would pay $7 for a cup of coffee. It's a mystery to me that some people still believe the earth is flat. And it's a mystery to me. It's a mystery to me how any sane and sober person could think that a lying, misogynistic, philandering reality TV star who declared bankruptcy 6 times could possibly make a good president. Now, not naming any names. But these things, though completely incomprehensible to my mind, do not compel in me a sense of awe or wonder, whereas magic, when presented properly, does just that. And just as you can have mystery without wonder, you can have wonder without mystery. Listening to Beethoven's Symphony No. 9, for example, inspires a sense of wonder in me, even though there's really no mystery to that particular piece. And the third thing that accounts for the perennial appeal of magic is the sheer joy derived from watching a performance by someone, such as a master magician, who excels at his or her craft. Magic is similar to every other form of performance art in that mastery of it can be achieved only after many, many years of diligent practice and patient study. The investment of time and energy that a master magician must make in order to achieve mastery in his or her art is enormous, to say the very least. And the fruits of that labor can be a singular joy to behold. Artists such as Penn and Teller, David Copperfield, and Darren Brown are true masters of their craft, and to see them perform is to witness something that is truly sublime. For these 3 reasons, ladies and gentlemen, magic, in one form or another, will always be a part of human culture. Though its popularity may wax and wane with the ages, the fundamental appeal of magic can never be eradicated from the human psyche, because the appetite for mystery, just like the human appetite for knowledge, can never fully be sated. All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Any questions, comments, concerns? A demonstration. Oh, I couldn't possibly. But if you were to insist. Oh, well. Okay. Now, for this particular demonstration, I require the assistance of a volunteer from the audience. Let's see, you're nice and close right here. And madam, what is your name?
Rez.
What is it?
Rez.
Rez?
Yes.
Rez. Give Rez a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Rez, can I ask you to stand here to my left? I'm sorry, I don't mean to like hover over you like this, but I just want to make sure everyone can see. Now, do you ever do any sewing at all?
No.
No, you don't go near this stuff. Fair enough. But you would recognize the implements used in the act of sewing, by which I mean a needle and thread, yes? Okay, cool. Now, you're going to be the eyes and ears of the audience here. I would like you to verify for all present that that is nothing more than what it appears to be, just a regular sewing needle. Make sure it does not bend, fold, collapse, or retract, yeah? Yes, strong like bull. Very nice. Watch carefully, watch carefully. Gone, vanished, and otherwise unaccounted for. Yes? Oh, there's more, there's more. Hold on, hold it. Save it, save it, save it. Now, hold out your hand again, please. Take a look at that. Touch it, feel it, get to know it. Verify that it does not bend, fold, collapse, or retract. Yeah? Very good, very good. I'll take that once again. Down the hatch without a scratch. Now, I could keep going on like this, one needle at a time. She's like, no, don't, just stop. Stop. You're doing horrible things to your body and my mind. But we are limited on time, so I'm going to take a whole bunch of needles here, just by a rough, just by a rough visual approximation, Raz. How many needles would you say that is? It is 11. Yeah. She's like, I'm just gonna keep guessing until he stops. That's 11 needles. Watch carefully. You're very thorough. Are you like a dentist or something? Dental hygienist? No? No? Okay. Now, of course, when sewing, needles are not very effective without a length of thread. Thankfully, I've brought some with me here. I would like you to verify for all present that this is nothing more than what it appears to be, just a regular length of white cotton thread, nothing attached to it. That's very important. Yep, very good, very good. Watch carefully. I'm just going to roll this up into a little ball, being careful to leave the ends free for reasons that will become apparent in a few short moments. Watch carefully. Gone, vanished, and otherwise unaccounted for. Now, at this point, Raz, you've done beautifully. There's just one more thing I need you to do before you return to your seat. That's take a nice deep bow and accept a warm round of applause from the audience. Yes. On an unknown date in either 1906 or 1907, a child named Eloisia Wagner was born in the small town of Hemlingen, Germany. She was born with no arms and no legs. 17 years later, accompanied by her stepbrother Carl, she immigrated to the United States and moved to New York City to pursue a career in show business. She adopted the stage name Violetta, performed at Coney Island's Dreamland Circus sideshow, and eventually toured the country with the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus. Then, as now, the sideshow was extremely competitive, and even a living torso such as Violetta still had to have a gimmick, a special trait or feature that would distinguish her from the myriad other living torsos working the circuit at the time. Now, as it happens, Violetta was a gifted singer, and would sometimes display this talent to the delight and delectation of her audiences, but by far, it was her ability to perform common everyday tasks using only her mouth that most impressed her audiences. Completely unencumbered by her limbless state, she would draw a picture, write a letter, brush her hair, and perhaps most impressive of all, thread a needle. So this demonstration, ladies and gentlemen, is a loving homage to the lovely limbless Lady of Hemlingen, Violetta. Madam, right here in the front row, what is your name?
Victoria.
Victoria, please verify for all present that my hands are completely and totally empty. As you are retelling these events to your friends tomorrow, Victoria, and in years to come. Some will suggest, others insist that I must have had something hidden in my hands, but as you can see, that is not the case, right? I'm going to walk among you. I thank you. I thank you. Thank you. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, yes. Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, that, ladies and gentlemen, is what I do instead of work. Any questions? What's that? How did I do it? Because I'm a wizard. Next question. Will I do another one? I would rather field some questions because I kind of feel like that's. I want to. How long have I been doing this? 17 years. So just starting to get the hang of it. Yes. The question is, do I start all of my tricks with a 20-minute lecture? No, the question was, do I start all of my tricks with a little bit of the history of the magic? No, I do not, but there's a few of them where I feel like it's appropriate, and this was definitely one of those cases. Yes, right here.
What are your thoughts on the magician as a liar?
Well, what are my thoughts on the magician as a liar? And this is from a fellow magician, actually, Tanya Solomon, right here. Thanks for joining us. So yes, magicians, we are liars. We are liars. But you know, the difference between a magician lying to his audience and a politician lying to voters is consent. The relationship of consent that exists between the magician and his audience. Right? You come to a magic show, you know he's going to lie to you. He's going to tell you things that are not true. But when a politician speaks to you, the assumption is that he's speaking truthfully, or at least sincerely. Very seldom the case. All right, yes?
So, on a similar note, do people come to you wanting to be tricked, and how does that play a role in that relationship?
Oh, so the question is, do people come to me wanting to be tricked, and how does that affect that relationship? Absolutely, they come to me wanting to be tricked. I mean, if they don't want to be tricked, they're at the wrong place. So yeah, if you come to a magic show but you don't want to be tricked, it means you're there for other reasons. You probably just made a wrong turn somewhere. So how does it affect the relationship? Yes, I mean, that's my job, is to trick people. As a magician, as a mentalist, that's what I'm there to do, is there to trick them. That's what they pay me for. Yes, right here.
Where can we go to see your full show?
Well, yes, where can you go to see my full show? So, well, my name is Eric Walton, and you can go to ericwalton.com and get on my mailing list. I send out a little newsletter once every couple of months. It's not something that you're going to get all the time. It's not going to clutter your inbox. But get on my mailing list, and I will let you know when I'm doing public shows. Most of the work I do is private gigs and corporate gigs, that type of thing, not open to the public. But when I do have public shows, I do make a point of letting people know about it. Yes, right there.
I'm curious what things that normal people would think are insane, like horoscopes and string theory, and just things that you actually believe in.
Ah, right. That's a very good question. So he says that he's curious about things that seem like fringe beliefs, such as horoscopes and string theory. That are fringe beliefs that I actually believe in. Well, I'm actually a bit of a skeptic myself, actually. I don't believe in astrology. I don't believe in horoscopes. I'm an atheist. all of that. So I'm actually, I don't believe in a lot of woo-woo. But of course, then again, no one who believes in woo-woo says, I believe in things that are nonsense. But what do I do that might be, what I believe in that might be considered somewhat on the fringe? Well, I think that it's possible that there is such a thing as, I'm saying it's only possible. It's possible. I'm not saying it's an actual thing. Bigfoot. I'm kidding. That maybe maybe with more scientific study and research, we will find that mind-to-mind communication is actually possible. That psychic communication is actually possible. I think that is a possibility worth further study. Yes, sir.
On the not terrifying lecture part of the beginning, how do you think that seeming error that works of an intense drive, desire for knowledge, but also, like you were saying, that drive and desire for mystery, because those are seemingly opposite things.
Yes. So the question is, how do I think people reconcile the need for knowledge with the need for mystery? I mean, I don't think that they're incompatible, right? I don't think they're incompatible at all. I mean, the world is such a vast and fascinating place, and our time on this planet is so incredibly brief that we can really just scratch the surface of just about anything. So we're going to have to. I mean, we're ignorant about most things, completely ignorant, as individuals, ignorant about most things. And I think that, through evolution and natural selection, we've just sort of reached a point where we're okay with that, right? Because otherwise we would just go crazy if we had to know everything, right? So I think that maybe it's an adaptive strategy that we realize there's no way we're going to know everything or even a significant portion of things. So let's just sort of delight in this mystery, in this not knowing. Yes, right here in the baseball cap. What inspired me to become a magician? Another magician who I saw, who was amazing, and I'd never seen magic before, and then he did a trick for me, and I was like, well, this is craziness. And so I just initially had just an academic interest in it, wanted to know what was going on, and then just became obsessed with it. Yes, right there. Yes, so the question is there any other field besides magic that has mystery and wonder working intrinsically together? I think that depends on how much knowledge you have of a subject, I mean, for me as a magician, a lot of magic is no longer mysterious because I know how the things are done, right? But biology, forget it. I mean, it's a mystery and a wonder to me because it's a mystery because I don't understand basically any of it, and it's a wonder because it's amazing, and I look at it and I consider it and contemplate it, and I'm just in complete awe. Yes, sir, right here.
I'm curious about your thoughts on calling something magic that is not supernatural. Do you think magic has to have supernatural qualities? Clearly not.
Right. So the question is. Thank you very much. So the question is. She's got 30 more minutes. So the question is, do I have any compunctions about calling something magic, even if it doesn't have a supernatural component to it? No, none whatsoever. I mean, there are some people who use the term magic in a very strictly defined way, but I mean, as a term, it's been adapted to have many different definitions and applications, and I think that it's widely understood when you say I'm doing a magic show. Most and you're there and you're whatever. Most people aren't going to think, oh, well, he's going to invoke demons. I mean, some people might think that, but context is very important, right? Context is very important. So I don't claim to have any supernatural powers at all. So there's that. Yes, sir, right there. The question is, have I ever told someone how I do a trick? I mean, I've got magic students whom I've taught, that type of thing. And I've had to divulge a few things to my wife because some things I've done. And she says, all right, well, I didn't know I'd married a demon. And I was like, okay, well, hold on. It's just like this. She's like, oh, I didn't realize I married a fraud. Like, well, this is a lose-lose situation. Yes, right here.
I have more of a comment. I kind of disagree that knowing the secret behind it takes away from the magic, because one suspension of disbelief is magic. We know that the dragon is CGI, but when we watch Game of Thrones, it's still magical to see him breathe fire.
Okay, so yeah, that's a comment, and I will just, I will leave it there. It wasn't a question, but it was that that knowing the trick, knowing the secret of magic, doesn't necessarily ruin it for her. That was the basic question. Yes, right here.
I was just going to say how the media portrays paranormal activity. Would you say that's just a camera trick?
How the media portrays paranormal activity is just a camera trick. Well, I mean, I don't know anything about paranormal activity, really. I mean, I've read books about it, but, I've never experienced it myself, so I don't know what it's like to have that kind of experience. So maybe they're representing it, truthfully. Maybe they're not. Yeah, I don't know, but it's definitely a good question. Yes, right over here. Yeah, first you, and then you. How's that? Yeah, yes.
Yeah, so there's this concept about that the younger you are, the more likely you are to believe or become enamored with magic.
Sure.
How have you seen that play out in terms of generational reactions to your magic?
Yes, so she said that typically younger people have a greater appeal, a more susceptibility to magic than older people. So as you get younger, you become a bit more jaded, a bit more knowledgeable about the world, and less likely to fall for things. At least I think that's basically what you said, right? So yeah, that has been my experience. I mean, there is a certain age beyond which trying to show someone magic is pointless, right? So unless someone has a basic understanding and grasp of object permanence, if they see if you do the most beautiful vanish in the world, they're not going to care because they just think, oh, objects vanish, that's cool. So a person's mind has to be conditioned to understand how the world works in order to know that there's been a sort of hiccup there, right? That you've done something that's inconsistent with their view of the world. And yeah, the older people get, the more they know, the more difficult they become to fool in most cases. Yes, sir, right here.
Since misdirection and magic promote such an awe and will to understand things, do you reckon we could use it in something like education? Because most of the times kids get a bit weary of it, and they take some of the sleight of hand of words. What do you think we could do?
So the question is, do I think it's possible to use some of the methods used by magicians in the classroom, right, in order to make learning more fun? Or more effective, teaching more effective? Yeah. It seems theoretically that it could certainly work. I'm sure people have done it. I don't know if there's any research out there on the topic, but it seems to me that it's theoretically very sound indeed. But I don't know. Yes, sir, right here. What are my thoughts on hypnosis as a therapeutic methodology or as a form of entertainment? Either. Well, I mean, they're entirely different in those things. So, as a therapeutic modality, I think it's been very effective for some people. Very, very effective. Maybe it's just a placebo. Who knows? But I think what matters is that it helps people. How it helps them, I think is not entirely immaterial, but what matters is that they leave feeling better and, not wanting to smoke cigarettes and that sort of thing. So to that extent, it's good. As a form of entertainment, I think it's great. I envy those guys because they don't have to carry any props. Yes, ma'am. So yes, my bio says I'm a mentalist. That is true. So mentalism is essentially mind reading for the stage. So yeah. ESP, that type of thing, but theatrical presentations of that. Yes, ma'am, right there.
From your perspective, what's the greatest vulnerability as a human being that we should know so that we can
Right, so that's an excellent question, and I think a good one on which to end. So she said, what is the most vulnerable aspect of the human mind that we should be mindful of so that we are not exploited by fraud? And I think it's definitely language, right? It's language. And I recommend anyone who doesn't want to be taken in by fraud or tricksters or lies to pick up a good book on logical fallacies. That is the best reading that can be done. If you know the logical fallacies and you see them there in print and you see examples, you're like, damn it, I just fell for this one like 4 times today. But to be aware of these things, to know that they exist, to be able to name them and identify them, really, really arms you against all kinds of wickedness from politicians, from advertisers, from religious leaders, other authority figures, etc., etc. So that's it. Yes, again, my name is Eric Walton. Thank you all so much. You've been wonderful. I appreciate your time and attention here tonight.